Yo, what up? It's Aaron Moses. Hold up. It's Aaron Moses. Gang, and this video is called, let me see, Moe Gangant. I don't even really know how to say bro's name like that. Breaks down the Rollin 60s Rico Reckless case from a lawyer's perspective. Let's get into it, man.
Rico, as it's being called, that came down from the feds. Brick Baby, Loose Cannon, and Big U all arrested, as well as a bunch of other people. What kind of insight can you give me into this case?
So the big takeaway here is that there's actually two things happening. There's a Rollin 60s takedown, which means that they have rounded up a bunch of people who they say are in this gang or affiliated with this gang and brought them in for questioning some of them. They've charged some of them, and then they've put some of them in a RICO indictment. But that's very important. The RICO indictment against Big U is different from the Rollin 60s takedown. So Big U's on an indictment with like 6 or 7 other people. They've got a RICO charge in there. They've got a murder charge in there. He's facing life in there. Now, separate from those 6 or 7 people is separate charges against people who were in the Rollin 60s, allegedly, but not part of the indictment. And so this is very interesting. You saw that press conference. They got like 30.
Do they usually do that? Like, I thought that they would only implement. I mean, there are situations where they bring in a lot of people at one time, but it's not necessarily a RICO because it's more of a state thing. But they're mixing the two. That's very different from what I've seen.
40 pictures, okay, and then they got a couple charges, individual cases, and then there's the Big U indictment, which is really just, I count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 people. There's only 7 people on the Big U indictment. One of them is your friend Loose Cannon.
Right.
Now, separate from that, there's also a case against Brick Baby. Brick Baby is not in the Big U indictment. He's mentioned, like, sort of tangentially, but he's not a defendant in that Big U indictment.
Because he was allegedly extorted by Big U because he did a robbery, and Big U apparently wanted some percentage of the money.
Well, I was not aware of that, but that would make a lot of sense because you would not want to indict Brick Baby saying that he's part of the Big U enterprise if the story is that Big U's out there extorting Brick Baby. Now, Brick Baby has a totally separate charge.
Okay.
He's just got some possession of firearms, ammunition.
That's a big deal. I did not even know that. So allegedly, Big U was extorting. That's not necessarily extortion. That's more so like paying dues. Like that's a normal thing. I'm not a gangbanger or a gang member, but from what I've heard, a lot of times when just certain gangs, right? Certain nations or gangs, you have to, put something on a big homie's books that's doing life. And they write you letters and they give you knowledge and they give you certain types of information that you're not going to get from your chief or your OG or what have you. That's normal, and it's not like a whole lot of money. Sometimes it's like $20, or if they, if the little homie makes money off the person's information, why wouldn't you, feel inclined to give back, But that's not extortion necessarily. That's a reasonable duty of a person that's a part of a criminal organization that's like this, especially of this size.
In charge.
Right.
All of this dates back to an Article 3 wiretap that was back in 2022. I don't know how many people really know about this, but what happens is...
Tell me.
When you want to get a wiretap, the feds want to get a wiretap, they have to go to a judge,
And get
submit
a
an
subpoena.
affidavit.
Yeah.
Now, nobody knows what happened back in 2022, but back in 2022,
You do.
the documents are all fully sealed. We know nothing about it other than this. There was a wiretap. That wiretap was on a couple of phones, including Big U, Sylvester Robinson, Mark Martin. Now, Sylvester is Big U's right-hand man, AKA they. Mark Martin is AKA Bear Claw, another member of the Big U indictment. And then there's Brick Baby. and Brick Baby's phone was tapped under this wiretap from back in 2022. What you had happen is you had that wiretap in 2022. Fast forward to last year, an individual named Christian Forbes gets indicted for basically selling guns. He's out on bond right now. When he gets indicted for selling guns, shortly thereafter, there's the Brick Baby indictment, and then shortly thereafter...
Wait a minute. He's out on bond? Oh, because he's not in the... Okay.
You have this whole Big U indictment. And so all of these charges seem to link back to a 2022 wiretap that started on several...
Bro, 2022... It's 2025. 2022. Like this video or leave a comment on how many times you've seen one of the most amazing gangster movies that has ever graced the eyes, ears, and hearts of America's people. Goodfellas. How did they get caught in Goodfellas, Aaron? Well, let me tell you if you've never seen the movie. Spoiler alert. He told that bitch, don't talk on the phone. And she talked on the phone. What happened in Casino? They were hanging up, picking up, jumping through all of these flaming hoops to not use the phone irresponsibly, because there were no such thing as cell phones at that point. I don't believe. It might have been the 80s. They didn't have, well, even if they didn't have them. Bro, you have the greatest technology ever known to man in your hand. You got the whole world in your hand, Jesus. And you still are acting like it's 1972. That's how I caught my first case. Not because I was talking on the phone, but because I allegedly... Well, no, I already got convicted. Well, no, I'm not going to give the... Well, I got charged as an adult. Because I dropped my phone at the scene of the crime. And this nigga opened my phone and called every contact until somebody who did not want to see me winning showed up at the scene and identified me as somebody that could have possibly committed this crime. Nigga, how is it 2022 and you're still getting caught for something that we already knew not to do for like the last 50 years? Don't say anything crazy on the phone, bro. You're a gang member. You don't have your own language. There were parts of my life where my clients, whether they be white or Mexican, they didn't like to hang around me because I was having conversations that they couldn't decipher because we had our own language and they didn't know what the fuck we were talking about. And you don't have that luxury of having your own language. Mexicans have their own language. Africans have over 52 languages. Algerians have their own. Well, they're Africans. Bro, this organization is like 50 years. Why don't you have your own language, bro? The LGBT people have their own language. And you don't have your own language. You can't talk on the phone without getting caught. That's weird. Oh, no, that's strange. That's something that you need to fix.
Phones of the cast of characters that's involved here.
Right. Okay, and so from our perspective, from your perspective, why would Brick Baby be on the poster board that the feds trotted out at that news conference?
Because they're trying to make him look bad. What do you mean? Because he's famous and they're trying to make him look bad, bro. They're trying to smear his image so he can get the most time possible, because people are going to see this and people are going to gossip and it's not going to... Of course, duh, nigga. What happened?
He's not involved in the more sinister stuff. Like, what is the utility for them to announce all of these arrests at the same time, even if somebody like Brick Baby's case is very separate?
Well, it's separate, but it's not. So they're saying that there's the Rollin 60s and that all these folks are part of the Rollin 60s, and that's why they've engaged in a Rollin 60s takedown. Then they're saying there's a subset which is run by Big U plus these 6 other people, and they're involved in this more comprehensive indictment that involves that murder conspiracy, that involves sex trafficking, that involves robbery, extortion, and then also on Big U, they're going to try to hit him with tax evasion. So they got him on 2 counts for basically not declaring like $150,000 in income.
Right, and I mean,
Big U, nigga, you worked for the government. What? That's like the worst thing. How you gonna be a representative of the government, but you're like doing the worst thing that the government thinks you could do? Tax evasion. Allegedly. I'm not playing with the mother. Just like dude said in Dead Presidents. Oh, not Dead Presidents. Set It Off. It's 3 people I don't play with. The I, the R, and the S. I'm not playing with them people. Are you crazy? Listen, man.
I guess it's kind of surprising for some people to realize that this sort of like extortion racket thing is still going on, in particular within the black community, because it's pretty well documented that there's a lot of this kind of stuff going on with the Mexican mafia and various.
Bro, they're from the West Coast. Shout out to the MA, and shout out to all the essays, and shout out to everybody of the brown community, man. But no offense when I say this, they're in Los Angeles, California. Where do you think they got that from? If that's what you're saying. Yes, Big U lived in Chicago at some point, but he was around the Vice Lords and he wasn't around the 6. He was around the 5, bro. So he either got that from them because that's what they're known to do, or he got it from our cousins across the street. One of the two, maybe a little bit of both. Yeah.
Hispanic gangs and whatnot, and that they be taxing various people who are in business in situations that are kind of on the edge of legality or things that are full blown illegal. But I guess to a lot of people that was kind of the surprising thing, is to realize that this sort of thing is still pretty prevalent in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I think it's probably not the headline that caught the Fed's eye in bringing this indictment. I think the murder is where their interest really lies. I think a couple of people on that Big U indictment have already gotten appearance bonds for pretty small amounts, and I don't think it's because they're snitching. I think it's because their overall involvement in this conspiracy is limited to sort of minor crimes. Yeah. So, I think I'm not surprised to hear somebody like you say, "Oh, they've been doing this in LA forever. What's going on here?" I think that murder, though, is a problem, and I think that's what really caught the Fed's eye.
Right, so we wouldn't probably even know about all this. Like, the Feds wouldn't have taken interest in whatever kind of extortion was taking place if it wasn't for the fact that this murder really, like, alerted them to the fact that there was stuff going on?
Possible. Certainly my read of it is that murder is what's driving that indictment.
Okay. And so Big U apparently caught another charge because he made an Instagram video after his house was raided, before he turned himself in.
I think I heard something about this is ridiculous. You got another charge making an Instagram video when you were supposed to be turning yourself in after you get your dick sucked for the final time in the next 30 years. That's what you... Come on, bro. Big U. Much love to all black men. Why would you do this, brother? What? You made you.
He made an Instagram video kind of blaming people like Whack 100 and Christopher Lovejoy for essentially getting him caught up, which is kind of crazy because, yes, they were talking about you and they kind of knew that these charges were coming before they were actually formally announced. But at the same time, it's kind of absurd to say that the feds, filed this federal RICO just because they were making content about you. But he also, I guess, basically kind of suggested to other people that they shouldn't be talking to the cops or shouldn't be talking to these people.
Oh, wow. I didn't hear about this. This came out 3 days ago. They charged him for that. I saw that video. I thought that was not wise. But another charge? Yeah, he was kind of... I want to say there was a call to action at some point. I would say that. That wasn't wise. But another charge for this? I don't think that's necessary.
People, and he was given another charge, which was kind of shocking to a lot of people that was enough for him to get another charge, or that he would have made any kind of statement like that without having spoken to a lawyer first.
And that last part, I'm very surprised that he didn't speak to a lawyer first. I don't think he had a lawyer lined up for this situation.
Obviously not. If he was still,
I think when he went in there on his first appearance, he had a public defender, or maybe he had somebody he retained. But in a matter of 3 weeks, he's already filed a notice that he wants to substitute his attorney. I believe it was basically just a public defender that he was assigned. Now he's got some other guy. Not sure how I feel about the other guy. The other guy was admitted to the California bar in the early 80s. So he's been around for like 30, 40 years, which is, you know, kind of a green flag. But then if you've been around for 30, 40 years, you'd expect to have like a really dope website and a list of all the trials that you've just...
lawyers sneak dissing lawyers. Man, you just called this man a 7-Eleven lawyer, a Walmart lawyer, not even a Target. I mean, to Walmart, shout out to both. I like both. Bro, you just called this man a food stamp lawyer, bro. I keep on going higher and higher. I need to go look. You said Big U, he probably needs a Papa John lawyer, a Giordano's lawyer. This man got a Pizza Hut lawyer. You couldn't even get the Domino's lawyer. You got the Pizza Hut, and I like Domino's more than Pizza Hut. That's why I'm saying that. Domino's is kind of fire. Oh, the brownies, nigga, tweaking. But at the end of the day, I've never seen this in my life, bro. Lawyers sneak dissing lawyers. Hey, man, it is what it is.
Out of the park. This guy doesn't have that. So
nigga,
when
you don't got a website, broke ass
situation where the guy goes and you know, he knows that
was a double whammy. You called the lawyer and Big U a broke ass nigga at the same time. Damn, nigga.
feds are after him. He gets into a car and says, "I'm turning myself in. These are the rats," or whatever it is exactly that he said. That's not a good look. The feds also noted that when he turned himself in, he didn't have his phone on him. It looks like he dumped his phone. And then he was using his wife's phone to do that Instagram video, and that's odd. Why is he using somebody else's phone? So the real takeaway when you hear that charge and you see what Big U did, and then you see this change in lawyers, he wasn't ready for this. This thing came and hit him, just, it knocked him right off his feet, and he was just scrambling, making kind of weird moves and moving silly.
Yeah, I hope we don't find out that he got his lawyer at the swap meet. That would be bad news.
Come on, so you just saw the clip, but did you know
Adam, you didn't have to say I said it. You didn't have to say that, bro. You're doing too much, bro. We don't, come on, come on, man. Anyway, this nigga say he got a swap meet. At least I gave him Pizza Hut. Damn, nigga, swap meet. Pizza Hut's probably like a Fortune 500 company or something. Probably not. It is what it is. It's not what it's not. Did y'all see that? I'll do it later because I don't want to keep it. It's Aaron Moses on the band, the man. Life. What is this at the top? Life is in the bread, breathing it. Peace.